actually going through that process of narrowing down which lender and which loan type. So do you do this on the phone when you're speaking to the clients in that initial phone call?
For the most part, yes. Sometimes if I have a client who has sort of an odd financial situation or I think is a tough loan to place, I will actually ask them if I can do a little bit of quick research to make sure that I can do the loan and then come back to them. But generally, during the process of taking the application and getting information on the property, I will then, I'll begin to offer rates and different options that are available. New York is a little bit unique because we have single family homes, we have cooperatives, which are not deeded properties, we have condominiums, we have condotels, we have many different types of real estate, and every bank has different requirements with regards to what type of real estate they will finance. So oftentimes I also have to do research on the property that they're buying to make sure that the bank with the best rate will actually finance in that building. My banks have restrictions, for example, how many units are in the building, what percentage of the building is sold, and oftentimes the buyer won't know that up front, so we have to get the information. It's very easy to just come out and quote the best rate, but you want to make sure that you're actually going to be able to deliver that rate to that buyer for that property. So I try not to be so rate specific unless I know the property or I'm sure that I can get it done, because there's nothing worse than telling someone they could have a 5-year adjustable at 5 3/4, only to find out that that property doesn't qualify with that bank and that they have to go to a bank at 6 1/4.
Excellent. What I might do, Melissa, is just let's say I'm going to go back to our dreaded role play. Let's say that we have, you've worked out that I am, I'm able to. It's down to a few banks. So I qualify quite easily for a few different loans. Can you now select the loan for me on the phone?
Well, then I go back to my next question, which is how long do you really think that you're going to be in that property?
Well, I think the way I'm feeling at the moment is that it's really going to be a 10-year process unless I get divorced.
Oh, sorry to hear that. If you really think you're going to be in that property for a long time, you should really consider looking at a fixed rate mortgage. The difference today between the fixed rate and the adjustable rates are not that great, and we really don't know which way rates are headed. So since you qualify for your $1 million loan for the bank that has the best rate, I can give you a 30-year fix today at 6.5% with no points up front. That's a great deal. If you do think, however, that that monthly payment is a little bit too high because it's interest and principal in the monthly payment, we can look at the adjustables and look at the interest-only adjustables. For example, since you are so well qualified, I can give you a 5-year adjustable today at 5 3/4 and no points, and it can be interest only. Obviously, the risk that you have, is that at the end of the 5 years, your rate will reset, and while the resets today are very low, it's impossible to predict where rates are going to be in 5 years. So it's really a question of whether or not you want to save the few $100s a month or pay extra as an insurance policy.
Righto. Well, I guess I'll go the fixed then.
Well, you can't go wrong with a 30-year fix.
That's correct, especially at 6.5%, where I think if you could get a good fixed rate at 8.5% here, you'd be laughing, and that's for 3 or 4 years. Yes.
Wow, come to New York.
Maybe this could be a good source of new business for you.
Absolutely.
The next question is, what events do you hold for your clients to attend as a way of giving back to them?
We have so many thousands of clients that we don't do a lot of big client events. We try to provide them with information. The one big annual event that I throw is at the Hampton Classic Horse Show, which actually starts next week. And I'm a corporate sponsor and I do luncheons. primarily for, actually we generally do it primarily for our best real estate brokers and referral sources and for our best clients. But with thousands of clients, it's really hard to throw events, and it would cost a fortune, and the venues just would not be big enough. And I find it very interesting that my clients are happy to do business with us, but I don't know that they really necessarily want to be entertained by us.
That's a very good point, and I think quite often people feel like a part of their referral and retention strategy needs to be to hold big events. But I've had people say to me the same thing. I had a little event at my office, and a mate of mine said, "I just can't believe that you've got 25 or 30 clients here who actually want to come and hang out with their mortgage broker."
Well, you must be special.
Okay, next question. Yeah, sorry, you finish. Your turn.
I just wanted to go back to that and say that the one thing that we do though is that we do take a lot of time to go to open houses with our real estate broker, referral sources. I think it's important that you spend time socially with the real estate brokers. I mean, for example, on Tuesday night, I'm going to a west side of New York City's office party in someone's rooftop garden, and spend time mingling and getting to know. It's getting to know the brokers and the people that refer business to you. And throwing events for them, I think, is so much more important than throwing events for past clients.
Excellent. Next question is obviously from a business owner in the audience, but he writes, "You must have a lot of brokers who want to work for you. How do you select your brokers? What's the process?"
I really look at people that come to me really two different ways. Obviously, if someone has a strong book of business, they can start tomorrow morning. But I also look to bring in younger brokers and newer people who I think have the right skill set in today's marketplace. Having been in business for 23 years, the way we do business today is very different than the way we did business 20 years ago. And I think that there are a lot of mortgage brokers here in New York who do business the old-fashioned way, who are not really, keeping up with the times, and that I find that I've actually been able to grow new brokers, making them efficient, using technology, using my systems, and I also get to pay them less.
It's a big bonus. And so, what's your interview process? Is it pretty short and sharp, or do you like to run them through a number of hoops? What are those hoops?
Obviously, if someone has a book of business, there's really not that much that gets done. We put them through a background check. We make them fill out an application. But the mortgage business in New York, even though it's such a big city, it's really a small community. So if someone's a known entity, we'll go ahead and hire them. If someone is younger, I will interview them, do a little bit of role play, find out where they think they can get business, how they think they can get business. And they will also then get interviewed by one or two other people in management at my company to try to get a sense of who they are. We'll oftentimes ask for references, but we're also not afraid of bringing in people from outside of the industry who have the right skill sets, because it's really important to be able to function in today's fluid, fast-moving marketplace.
Okay, fantastic. Now, once you've got, this is another question, but it's a follow-on from what you were just talking about. Once you've got a good broker, and they're not just a good one, but an excellent one, do you have a strategy for retaining them? For example, do you give them profit share or options or anything along those lines? Because they could presumably go and set up their own, lower Manhattan mortgage company in competition.
Well, the good news is, with all of the state regulations today, I don't think anyone would want to start a new company here. How do I retain my brokers? I retain them by making sure that I offer them the best rates, the best service. I have the marketing department, for example, that no one else in New York has, and obviously, if someone starts off and they're paid a lower commission and they continue to grow their business, then I'll increase their commission split in order to keep them and keep them happy.
Rightio. Next question, I think this
your
turn. It's always your turn.
Sorry. Of course, thank you. I don't know what's going on in Australia, but I can tell you that here in New York that one of the benefits that I have of being an established shop is that a lot of banks are not taking on new brokers. A lot of banks are eliminating smaller brokers, and that people like the security of being with a known established entity, and that's a real benefit that I have.
Alrighty. So last question before we let you go, as we are a little bit over time in your interview, is what does your, and I think this is a really, really good question that will give people some good detail into how they can be more efficient, but the email application pack that you send out to your clients, once you just close me on the phone, what exactly, specifically, what does that include? What are the pieces to that helps you move the clients through quicker?
The first thing that it'll have will be a cover letter, which will ask the client for all of the documentation regarding their income, their assets, liabilities, spelled out for them very clearly and specifically. It has the actual application that needs to be signed by the borrower, and then the various disclosures, and most importantly, the fee agreement that acknowledges that our fee will be paid either by them or by the lender, enabling us to get paid at the closing.
Okay, and obviously the application form along with that, or how does your application?
The application form is there, and it's all filled out. And our computer system actually, once the application is taken, when my assistant sends the application package out with the disclosures, all of their information is downloaded into the various disclosures. So, their name, their social security number, all the information that they would have to fill out has been filled out for them, which people really like a lot.
Okay, that's very interesting. So basically, the process is from start, you speak to the client, you close them, you then give them to one of your assistants who speaks to them and gets all their details about all those little details, the assets and liabilities and what the works, and then the application that you send to the client is already pre-populated with all of those details and pretty much every bit of information you send them. So all they've really got to do is sign the form and send it back, and with their supporting documents.
That's correct.
Right, yeah, that sounds like a pretty smart system, and it makes it a little bit easier to see how you write the kind of volume that you do with such a fantastic system in place.
Well, thanks, Will.
No problems. So, Melissa, I'd just like to thank you very much on behalf of all the attendees here at the Lending Sales Success Conference for generously giving us your time today. And I'd just like everyone here to join me in a round of applause for Melissa before we let her go.
Thanks a lot for having me.